night. 2 long home runs, including the 500th of his Hall of Fame career. The story for the home team, not so pretty. Critical mistakes early. Not enough offense to get back in it. Tonight features 2 of the winningest pitchers in baseball over the last 4 seasons. Gio Gonzalez and Jared Weaver in Game 3 on Masson. Welcome to Nationals Park. Breeze coming down from the north. It is chilly in the yard tonight. It might even play big for Albert Pujols. We'll have to wait and see. But this could be a night when 2 outstanding pitchers put their mark on a ball game. Bob and FP, welcome to Nationals Park. Okay, last night history, it's all over. Time for a win now, trying to get the 3rd win of this homestand. And FP, the guys have to get to a better start out of the gate. It's been a real problem lately.
Yeah, last night was history. We saw Albert Pujols' 500th home run. But when you talk about the Nats and what they've been doing this homestand, maybe all season long, get out of the gate. Be ready to play the ball game. The first couple of innings have been their problem. Look at outscored 44-12. They allowed runs in 13 games, trailed 12 of 21 games, and 7 errors, 600 runs, and they're hitting just 111 with runners in scoring position this homestand. So it's got to change, and hopefully it starts tonight. But, you know, as a player, Carp, you can't really afford to ease into a ball game. You got to be ready from the first pitch, and you have to be anticipating the baseball being hit to you from the very first pitch of the game. San
Diego in tomorrow night. So starting tonight against the Angels and Padres, the big 3, Gio, Zimmerman, and Strasburg. Gio Gonzalez is 7-2 career against the Angels. They know him. He knows them from the AL West.
Well, quite simply, he's the ace of this staff right now. You go back to April 2nd in New York, 6 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, 6K against the Mets. The curveball and changeup were very good for Gio on that day. And then he went up against the Cardinals on April 18th. His last outing, 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 7K. So for Gio Gonzalez, he just has to keep doing what he's been doing so far this year. Doesn't like to pitch in the cold. We'll keep an eye on that, but he's going up against a good right-hander in Jared Weaver.
Over the last 4 years, Gio 4th most wins in baseball. Weaver right behind him, and they've both had a 20-plus win season in recent memory. So time for Screech to bring out the big stick. Keep on smiling, guys. Relax and play a good ball game. It's the finale of this series, a salvage operation for your Nats. AT&T, mobilizing your world. And by University of Maryland, University College. Picking up the ball, towing the rubber, and getting ready to work Gio Gonzalez on a cool night in D.C. Visit trainsearch.com. Find your local Train Comfort specialist dealer. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. So 58 degrees. One of the big factors, look at those winds from the northwest coming into the ballpark from left field at 19 or so. It's been a cold, breezy day in the capital today. Angels hitting .248 as a ball club. Albert Pujols is first in the major leagues in home runs. He's second in the American League with 19 RBIs already. And if this man stays healthy, no telling what damage he can do. Nobody's ever hit .499 and .500 in the same game out of the 26 guys who've made it to the .500 mark. And here's Gio's arsenal against a good swinging Angels team.
Yeah, he'll force him the fastball, which is a straight one at 94. He'll throw the sinker at 93 miles an hour. The curveball is the breaking pitch at 79, and the changeup at 84. And you see the 5th start of the year for Gio. Last start was against the Cardinals on the 18th. He was outstanding. 7 innings of 1-run ball. Gave up just 4 hits. Struck out 7, walked 1 through 101 pitches.
Most wins against any opponent, Gio. 7 against the Angels. 6 against Seattle and the Mets. 5 against Cleveland, Miami, and Philadelphia. And the ERA is pretty good, too, 2.54. He's had decisions in 9 of 10 starts. Career against the team from Anaheim, and that's outside. We're underway at 7:06. Colin Cowgill's come into play a couple of times defensively in this series. 7 for 19 in limited play for them. And that's a fastball that the 15-year veteran Paul Emmel calls strike one. Crucci, Jerry Meals over at third. Jordan Baker at second, Toby Basner at first. Cowgill, Trout, Pujols to start this one off. Colin Cowgill, 1 for 2 career against Gio. There are 5 hitters in the Angels lineup tonight who've faced Gonzalez in the past, and 4 others on the bench. Not even close in a 4th pitch. Now there was a strike in there somewhere, so it's 3-1. Scoreboard had that 3-0 prior to the pitch. And Gio certainly doesn't want to put anybody on ahead of Trout and Pujols, who've combined for 5 hits in the series.
Well, you just want to get back in the dugout, get off the field in this first inning, the way things have gone lately, and make the plays behind them, throw strikes, get your ball club back in the dugout, give them a chance to jump out on top.
Payoff pitch to the first batter, target inner edge, and Gio got in there pretty well.
That's something he's done really well this year, is that fastball on the inner half to the glove side to right-handers.
27-year-old Colin Cowgill. Time with the Mets and Angels last year, previously with Oakland. And a check swing, stays alive. Former Mr. Baseball in the state of Kentucky, and led the Wildcats when he went to the university in his hometown of Lexington to the first ever SEC championship. That was in 06. Right down there, and a strikeout. Looked like Cowgill dropped his bat, wanted to head for first base, and Gio battles well through that first AB.
Well, you see everything away, but then he rights the ship, pitches 1 and 4 in the outer half. Then he starts to go into Cowgill, and that's where he nails down the strikeout.
Dropped his bat, was taken off the shin guard to go down the first base line. All in all, and it could change at any moment, and I hope it doesn't. The Nats have done a pretty good job on Mike Trout. 3 for 10 in the series. Scored a couple of runs. 3 singles.
I mean, up to this point, this series, has been anything but 22 versus 21. It's been 41 the first night in Raul Ibanez and 34 last night in Albert Pujols. So old guys rule in the first 2 games of this series.
Yes, they have. How about 8 RBIs between them? What a great swing by Mike Trout. You know, he's thinking 2, maybe 3. Well, it's got to get it back in quickly. And Mike Trout in this series now 4 for 11, and that'll be his 7th double of the year and his 13th extra base hit.
Tell you what, that ball was drilled by Trout. You talk about, you sound like a cannon going off on a double. He hit that so low and hard. Jason Worth had the angle to that ball and still couldn't cut it off from getting to the wall.
Albert Pujols in this series, 2 hits. The home runs last night. And he's driven in 5. That ball drilled out to center. One hop, Denard Span. They're going to hold the runner. Span makes a fine throw home. All the way on the fly to Lobaton, who came forward a bit. Good charge, good throw.
Another good swing from Pujols right here. Right back up the middle. Low line drive. You see Espinosa on the shift in the right spot. The ball was hit just over his head. A nice stop by Lobaton to keep that double play in order for Gio Gonzalez.
That was Albert Pujols' first career at bat against Gio Gonzalez. He and Adam LaRoche used to spend a lot of time at first base together when Adam was with the Pirates in the same division. Here's Kendrick. He's had a good series. Howie 4 for 9. This year he's hitting .426 on the road. And his batting average up over 300 now at .306. And they're getting some pretty good rips on Gio early here.
So the defense for the Nats behind Gio tonight. Harper, Span, Worth in the outfield. Desmond, Rendon on the left side mostly. Espinosa, LaRoche on the right side mostly. And then Jose Lobaton behind the plate.
Albert Pujols will have somebody protecting him in the lineup in about 2.5 weeks, the Angels say, expecting Josh Hamilton back at that time. So we won't be too sad to see them go, but it might be a ball club you want to track during the season to see how they do after that big left-handed slugger comes back. Breaking ball, somehow missed the batter, and a really good play by Jose Lobaton.
Yeah, we just got talking about, done talking about the first couple of innings, how the Nats have scuffled for the majority of this season, however young the season is. But when you talk about a big first innings, you look at Lobaton making a great glove save right there. I mean, pretty critical that Gio Gonzalez gets out of this one.
Yeah, fighting for your life in a 3-game series. Kendricks hit into 2 double plays this year, and that's off the plate. A very pesky hitter next, who's had a really good series. And then Gio's given up his share so far. Howie Kendrick 5 for 20 career against him with 2 walks as the count goes to 3-1. Bases loaded.
And Desmond going to the mound, Adam LaRoche going to the mound. They're watching Gio, very animated tonight with his misses on the fastball. But there's just no such thing this year for the Nats as easing into a baseball game. It seems like right out of the gate every single night they're up against it. No getting your feet wet this year. Not so far.
Eric Ibar 5 of 9 with an RBI in the first 2 games here. Career, he's hit a homer against Gio. He's 5 for 19. Now all of that's been from the left side. He's only 3 for 17 from this side of the plate.
Well, probably not a double play in the batter's box. Ibar runs very well, so Gio Gonzalez, having a red line right now in the first inning, looking for that strikeout. Jumped ahead 0-1. Still hasn't thrown the curveball for a strike.
This all started with a Trout 1-out opposite field double. That's a curveball that gets the ceiling of the strike zone. No balls, 2 strikes. Gonzalez this year, 9 walks, 24, now 25 strikeouts when he got Cowgill to start the game. Reaches back, and there's a line drive at Desmond, and that makes it an easy double play as Albert Pujols wandered off the bag at second.
Circle that play right there. That might be the one where you say, you know what, we changed it, we turned it around, things are going our way now, because as a player you get that here we go again mentality, and it's not going to happen here tonight. In the world are they? Wind is whipping.
They haven't been knocked down in the first inning all year. Hopefully the Nats get some offense going here. Anthony Rendon, he's in the number 2 spot tonight, top 6 in the National League in extra base hits. 0 for 7 with a walk in this series. Bryce Harper 5th, Ian Desmond 6th. Danny Espinosa further down than he was last night. Matt Williams looking for that magical combination. And a tough guy with a good arsenal, FP, who throws across his body like crazy in Jared Weaver.
Yeah, but relies on movement. The sinker's at 86. He'll four-seam the fastball at 86. His curveball is 70. His slider is 80. And he's got a changeup at 78. All-Star in 2010, 2011, 2012. Second in the Cy Young in 2011. As you look at the numbers on Jared Weaver, big concern, the velocity in the fastball has dropped 3 miles per hour from 2011 to this year. The fastball this year averages 86 miles an hour. And in the past, this is a guy, as you look at an 84-mile-an-hour fastball that, through 90, 92. I don't think Weaver's concerned because he's a guy that sinks it and he relies on movement. But there's been a lot of talk about his velocity in Southern California.
And a pop about to the left. When you look at his delivery, it is similar to Taylor Jordan in one respect. He pulls that ball in the right arm way back behind his body before he comes through, although Weaver has more of a turn toward the third base dugout before he squares up and gets it back in. Kind of a long arm delivery like the Nats right-hander. Span 0 for 7, 2 walks in the series. And a little off-speed pitch got him right at the end of the bat, manages to get it foul.
Yeah, that was the changeup at 77 as you look at the delivery from Jared Weaver. See the fingers as he releases the changeup. This guy knows how to pitch. He uses his knowledge of the hitters, deception with that delivery you're just talking about.
Denard's the only Nat in the lineup who's hit against him, but it hasn't been very good for Denard. With that little pop-up, he's now 2 for 23 career against the Angels right-hander.
Let's have the defense for the Angels behind Jared Weaver tonight. Chuck Trout Cowgill, your outfield. Ibar Freeze left side. Kendrick Pujols. Some guy named Pujols. Some new guy they just called up starting at first. And Chris Iannetta behind the plate. There he is. 500 home runs.
Albert and Tim Meade, the longtime media relations guy for the Angels, had a very long night last night. Look at this bunt by Anthony Rendon. He's not 0 for in this series anymore. What a great little piece of hitting right there.
Just such a nice arsenal to have if you're a hitter like Anthony Rendon. Yeah, we all know he can hit, but if you drop one of these down or two of these down a month, talk about what it does for your average at the end of a 6-month season. Perfect bunt by Anthony Rendon. David Freeze playing back for some reason. Rendon took a look, said, all right, you're going to give me a hit, I'll take a hit. And just like that, there goes a no-hitter. Perfect bunt by Rendon.
I think that's the 9th Nationals bunt hit of the year already. There's Jason Worth, who's been on base in this series 5 times with 1 hit.
Last night he hit the ball hard every single time up, just had to double the show for it.
And these things have to start changing for him. We know he's not a 250 hitter. He's been hit by a pitch, walked 3 times, and 1 for 4 against the Angels.
Well, I talked to Jason the other day, and he said, you know, I feel great up there. I looked up the other day and saw I was hitting 280. I said, what? I mean, when you're locked in and you're making good contact on a consistent basis, that's all you worry about as a hitter. I mean, you want your knocks, obviously, but sometimes it's not always in the numbers. You feel good at the plate, you feel good at the plate, the hits will come.
1-1. And that ball really had some big break on it. I think Worth thought it was going to end up outside. Might be saying a word or two to Paul Emmel here.
Slider.
Yeah, pretty good. Looks better on pitch track than it did live. Nasty pitch. Rendon started, stopped. Worth strikes out. 2 down.
Yeah, he's been worked away predominantly all season long. The curveball from Weaver right there. You look at the grip. Might have been the changeup as you see the grip right there. Yeah, the changeup on the outer half. And Worth out in front.
Big shift on Adam LaRoche. We saw this on Monday night when Adam went 1 for 4 with an RBI.
Adam was talking about shifts with me early today, saying it's more about getting in your head than the actual shift working. He said when teams first started doing it to him, he had to decide, am I just going to try to hit through the shift or go the other way? And now he doesn't really even bother to look at it. He said it's more of a mental thing than actually putting guys on one side of the infield.
Easy take on a fastball up.
Fastball at 84.
Braves beat the Marlins 3-1 this afternoon. Later, we'll tell you when we look at a moment in history how the Cubs celebrated their 100th anniversary at Wrigley Field. It was not pretty. '69, almost a Livan Hernandez type curveball dropping in, and Livan is in the ballpark today. I remember some 65s and 66s from him. And LaRoche will strike that one beautifully. Solid contact into right field. And the Nats have 2 on, 2 out for Bryce Harper.
A solid contact right there by LaRoche. Just talking about the shift. He doesn't care. Just going to go right through it as you look at the curveball, I think, right there from Weaver. He always reminded me of Carp. He's reminding me more of Bronson or Arroyo right now, to where his fastball is 84, 85. Doesn't have the big curveball like Arroyo has. As you look at the extension from Adam LaRoche.
Don't know if he writes music or plays the electric guitar, but you are right on with that. So here's Bryce and a chance to put a stamp on this series. 1 walk. Other than that, 0 for 7. And a shot to center. It is caught by Mike Trout. One young star robbing another of an RBI. And maybe more if that gets by him. So the Nats get a Rendon hit, a LaRoche line drive, and Mike Trout focusing in on that one, and he gets it cleanly right down about the heel of his glove.
From Bryce Harper recently, going right back up the middle. Looked like it might have been a changeup from Weaver right there. Hits a bullet to center. Mike Trout plays very deep. And guys that play deep have a tendency to come in on the ball well. And you see a perfect example right here, watching that ball in, and it just looks like it stays in the palm of his glove.
He knew it, and he got that glove up off the turf and held it there to show the umpire.
Yeah, if guys play shallow, they generally go back on the ball well. And if guys play deep, they generally come in on the ball well. And Mike Trout has played this whole series as deep as I've seen any center fielder here at Nats Park ever. I think that's why you see all those highlight reel catches where he goes up and over the fence, because he's playing so deep. He's able to get back there and have time to time his leap, to where a guy that's playing shallow doesn't have that luxury.
That ball well hit by Chris Iannetta. Over Harper's head, one hopping the wall. This could be interesting, and Bryce will send him back to first with that throw.
That's a long single.
Well, Bryce got squared up perfectly for the throw and used that little bare hand pickup.
Yeah, you can see it coming, right? The hop off the wall, Bryce Harper barehanded it, and Iannetta kind of watching to see if it's going to get over Harper's head, and then look at this. Sling that thing right on the money, and a good choice by Chris Iannetta to stay at first.
And Danny Espinosa went scrambling for a tag, but there was no runner. So here's David Freese in this series, 0 for 3, an RBI, hit by a pitch. And the Angels have 3 hits already. So the first 6 batters, 3 hits and a walk. The double play ball, huge in the first for Gio and the Nats. Freese 0 for 6 career with 2 strikeouts against the Nats lefty. Pretty nasty breaking ball to a hitter on the other side of the plate. Nissan to track it.
Yeah, spin it up there. So he's found the release point on the curve, made the adjustment. First couple, maybe on a cold night, not getting that same grip he would on a nice warm summer night with that humidity on the baseball.
Throws him another one. Freese bounces it past the mound. Ian Desmond plays it well, coming straight in. Iannetta to second base, 1 out.
You know, you start thinking about why there's so many errors early in the season. And talking to a few of the guys, they're still getting adjusted to the shifts and playing in different positions that they're not normally used to playing. So if your whole life you're standing at a certain position, you're an everyday player at that position, now you're moving on one side of the bag, the other side of the bag, you're never really playing straight up. Now you're creating different angles to the baseball that you've never seen before. So that's going to take some time to get used to. Essentially, you're taking an everyday player early in the season and making him like a utility player, because now he's standing in spots that he's never stood before, and it creates different angles to the baseball. So now a play that you've seen to your right in your whole career, maybe you're playing up the middle, and now you got to go 10, 12 steps for a ball that used to go 3 or 4. And because you're running so far for the ball, you got to get rid of it sooner. Your timing's all messed up. So, you know, this might be one of the reasons why there's so many errors early in the year.
It's a good call. 2 balls and no strikes. Dan Kolko has more on the Nats defense.
Guys, we've talked a lot about the defensive issues to begin the season. 23 errors in 21 games, the most in the major leagues. So what are they doing to try and fix it? Well, they've been getting in a lot of early work before games, oftentimes 5 hours or more before first pitch, getting a lot of grounders. And this is something that the players are requesting. Ian Desmond, Danny Espinosa, and Anthony Rendon all were out on the field today getting ground balls hit at them. This is a collective effort, and it's something that the players are trying to work through. Oftentimes in past seasons, the guys wouldn't take infield day games after night games. That's something we've seen a lot more this season. The Nats are trying to fix it. It's not like they're just sitting back and, you know, resting on their laurels. They're trying to improve the defense any way they can.
There's the 4-pitch walk to J.B. Shuck, the number 8 hitter. And Dan touched on the key point there, not only the work they're doing, but the fact that the players went to Matt and said, we need to do this. Matt said today, this is not me sending them out there for extra work. This is what they wanted, and they're going to handle it.
And what people don't realize is that Dan Kolko was here 5 hours before the game today, too, practicing on his reports. And he asked you, he said, Bob, can you be there for me and help me? And you were there.
How's your 2:30?
I like it.
Oh, everybody expecting a bunt. And Jared Weaver has had 32 major league at-bats with 4 hits. Surprised everybody by taking a hack there. You would think it's automatic that the pitcher is bunting with 1 out, runners at first and second. Maybe he just wants everybody to lay back a little bit so he can lay one down now. Interesting call. You know, there was a time, and it goes back several years, when Mike Scioscia's team did win a World Series. He played most of his career with the Dodgers. He was identified as the one American League manager who, based on his personnel, was playing as much of a National League game as anybody over in that league.
Yeah, stressed aggressive base running, whether it be going to first to third. I remember last time we played the Angels in Anaheim, they were leading the league in runners going first to third on base hits.
Now Weaver will bunt one foul, and the count's 1-2. Dino Ebel, bench coach, right there next to Mike Scioscia. Our old Masson colleague Don Baylor on this staff. Hitting coach Rick Eckstein is called their player information coach.
Don Baylor broke his leg.
That's right. No, that was a tough first catching pitch. A first pitch. Weaver will strike out bunting, and that'll be Gio's second K of the game. So a couple of strikeouts already, times $37 to the Children's Inn at the National Institutes of Health, thanks to the generosity and community involvement of our D.C. area Toyota dealers, helping children and their families. So Dave Hansen, a pretty good major league hitter in his time, one of the best pinch hitters of his era, the assistant hitting coach for the Angels. And there's a bouncing ball to the left side. Rendon fires to Espinosa, and the Nats, led by Gio, are out of the inning. He's made big pitches tonight when he's had to, through 2 scoreless innings. Wrigley Field, Wegman Park back then, just over 41,000 plus standing room, $250,000 to construct. Babe Ruth supposedly called his shot in 1932. The scoreboard, 1937. It's got the W or the L flag up there. Lights installed in 1988, and the first night they played with the lights on, they got rained out. The baseball gods did not like it, and they celebrated today, the Cubs did, by giving up 5 in the 9th to Arizona and losing 7-5.
I'll tell you what, that's one of the greatest places on earth.
George Will's book is hilarious about some of the aspects of the 100 years of Wrigley Field. Hope you get a chance to pick it up. It's called A Nice Little Place on the North Side. And Ian Desmond, first pitch swinging, bottom of the 2nd. That thing way up there, wind moving it around, and Eric Ibar with the grab. Funniest thing I took from George's book, the fact that Cubs attendance is not based on the 1-loss record, it's the price of beer.
Well, they like their beer there. You want to see hustle, folks? Watch this. Ian Desmond on a pop-up in the infield. Big hard turn at first base, and he's thinking about being on second if it's dropped. Good hustle. That was a hard 90+.
Yes, it was. Here's Danny Espinosa. And Weaver delivers one outside. Danny in the series 0 for 7 hit by a pitch. Nobody in the lineup tonight has more than 1 hit against the Angels. In fact, nobody in the ball club does in this series. '69 on that big curveball.
Say this about Wrigley Field. It's one of the only places I've been to where it doesn't matter what year it is outside the ballpark. When you step in there, it's always 1920.
Yeah.
It is timeless.
Good call. On a ball coming right at him, Espinosa bunts it by the mound. He is safe. Good play by David Freese, and the Nats have their 3rd base hit.
Second base hit bunt of the night for the Nats. The Bun Nats. I'll tell you what, Espinosa was trying to bunt this, I think, to second base. Missed towards, I should say, shortstop. And you see Weaver trying to use the bare hand. He misses it. Freeze with the bare hand, and with Espinosa's speed, he beats it. Danny Espinosa's had some of the more interesting base hit bunts this year. I think he bunted one right over the mound for a hit.
He did.
And now that one towards shortstop. He's inventing new ways to get on.
He went wee Willie Keeler on that one over the mound, hitting them where they ain't. Here's Lobaton.
I'm trying to see if he was going to bring this with him to second base, or was he trying to bunt to third. I think he was going to bring it with him and then kind of panicked right here when it handcuffed him. Maybe he missed a sign and thought the squeeze was on right there, but either way it worked, and he'll take the knock.
He's running. Pitch inside. A good pitch on which to run. And Danny Espinosa swipes the Nationals' 6th steal of the year, and he's 2 for 2.
I'll tell you what, with the way he's put the ball in play consistently this year, with from the left side and the base hit bunts, the wheels he's shown not only during the season but in spring training, if Denard Span ever takes a day off, I would be surprised if Matt Williams leads Espinosa off.
Love the hard late Spike's first slide into the bag. 1-1 to Lobaton. He'll pull it. Matt Williams said today Jose's strength has been waiting on the ball, getting up the middle, but he was out ahead that time. So Espinosa at third base, 2 outs, and a chance for Gio to drive in a run here.
Flex packs, folks. Pick 4 games to get the 5th free with an Attitude Flex Pack. Choose 5 different packs, including the bobblehead and concert Flex Pack. Some restrictions apply. Visit nationals.com/flex. Flex for details.
You sound like Harry Carey doing that.
Well, that was one of the greatest reasons to be at Wrigley Field when he sung the 7th inning stretch. My first game there as a rookie, it was a foggy night, and he came out with a spotlight on him and was hanging out of the booth singing it, and I was standing behind second base and felt like I was in a movie.
You will have to read George's book to find out, that Harry Carey, for all those years, sang a couple of the wrong words to that song. And now it's Gio battling on 0-2. Okay, I'm going to quit selling books now. Back to the ball game. But it is a special day in baseball with Wrigley Field at 100. The only problem is, since the Cubs last won the World Series, Haley's Comet has come and gone twice. Fastball up, and the automobile and electricity have been invented. Other than that,
just goes to show you how hard it is to win a World Series.
It is. Gio with an RBI hit on a breaking ball. He gets himself a run. Second RBI this year, 7th of his career. The Nats on top.
Talk about the other day, used to tell starting pitchers all the time, you got to bat, do something, and Gio Gonzalez just did. Puts his team up 1-0 by serving a line drive on a curveball from Jared Weaver right into left center field. Credit Danny Espinosa with the base hit bunt, stealing second, getting into scoring position. And Gio Gonzalez for doing the damage in the 9th slot.
Bottom of the order, producing a run. Top of the order, Denard Span. And he hits that hard the other way. We are just sitting back with you folks at home and enjoying this 1-0 lead.
Yeah.
Break out the popcorn. The ball's pretty well hit out to left. J.B. Shuck will cruise to it and make the grab. So here at Nationals Park, home team on top. FP, by the way, and I love going to Wrigley. As soon as we walk in there, all of our clothes back in style. the association for global security professionals. Downstairs, Dan Coco. Good evening, Mass and Dan.
Good evening, Mass and Bob. I talked to Denard Span earlier today. After going 0 for 2 to start today's game, he's down to 200 with his batting average to begin the season. But he says that's not indicative of the way that he feels at the plate. He's hit the ball hard, including in that last at-bat when he lined out to left field. He said, I'm hitting liners off of pitchers' butts. I'm hitting the ball hard. They're just not really falling for me right now, but he's keeping a positive outlook about it, and he's not carrying his offensive struggles into the defensive side of the play. He says, I'm not going to let it affect that side of my game. If I can't have any hits, I'm going to try and make sure nobody else has any hits either. So he's going to do his best to rob as many opponents' hits as he can while he's struggling offensively.
So that's a great way to look at it. You're not getting some runs, take away theirs. Here's our Angels due up against left-handed pitchers. Brought to you by Honda. Mike Trout, by the way, came into this ball game, and he's 1 for 1 against Gio, hitting lefties at .458. Third best of any hitter in the American League. So that was his first career hit against Gio. In 10 at-bats, he had struck out 6 of those first 9 times. .82 on the changeup, right in there. High in the air, right field. Jason Worth, the wind's going to push this a bit over toward the line, and he's got it. Albert Pujols coming in. And FP, I'm still intrigued by something you brought up last inning. We talked about this in spring training, that the Nationals, I guess to put it simply, were going to be more specialized in their defensive positioning this year. And we don't know how much of an effect, but things are a little different for the guys.
Yeah, you look, Danny Espinosa right now is playing right up the middle for Matt Williams. So you got 3 infielders on the left side. And just talking to a few of the guys, they're telling me that it's taken them time to get used to standing in new spots. And you might, as a fan, not think that's a big deal, but when you've stood in the same spot your whole career, your whole life, and that's where you've taken ground balls from, that's where you've fielded them from the game, now all of a sudden you're in a different spot. You're just not used to the angles you're taking to get to the ball. Nice play by Desmond.
Nice pick by Ian Desmond with a backhand.
But on that play, he was standing right where he normally stands. And I think that coming up here, the shifts might be a little less noticeable as the season goes on, and the guys are going to get more used to the shifts. But talking to a few of them today, they said, hey, it's definitely had an effect, and we are still trying to get used to standing in different spots.
2 outs here in the third. And Howie Kendrick, the hitter. Gio walked him first time up. Fastball low. Kendrick on base in this series 5 times. 4th in the league with 26 hits. Right behind his teammate Mike Trout. Gio's had a good changeup tonight. Kind of interesting that on a cold night, Gio's touch pitches, curveball, changeup have been really good for him. So he doubles up on the off speed.
Good changeup. That's a good point too, Carby. It takes a while, right, to get into the game, get that blood flow going, get loose, and it looks like Gio's finally getting there. Everything down the zone, turned over the changeup, nice at 85.
Mercedes-Benz on the pitch track on a good-looking changeup. And that was 83 away, so he tripled up on the off speed.
If you just look at the infield right now, it's more of a standard. Everyone's standing in their normal spots to where you're not shifting on everybody. Just certain hitters now. And early in the season, I feel like they were shifting on everybody.
Well, I remember a series here early in the season, maybe 3 years ago. Brewers came in. Ron Renicky had guys all over the place, and the Nats hit some ordinary out balls through that defense for hits. Had a big influence on that series. By far Gio's best inning. 1, 2, 3 against 3 really good hitters. Anthony Rendon is 1 for 1 tonight. Bunt base hit earlier. The Nats have a 1-0 lead. Time to start building on that. It is a cool one at the ballpark, 58 with a breeze. A 1-0 lead warms us up a bit. And when the Nats win big and score big, you profit. 50% off regular menu prices at papajohns.com. Those are online orders. Promo code NATS50. Better ingredients, better pizza. And that's at participating D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia locations.
I think those kids were eating ice cubes.
They must be from Northern Virginia.
It's cold.
Rendon, Worth, and LaRoche, bottom third.
75 and sunny where we're at every night, partner.
We're at the ballpark, right?
Yes. The big leagues. Where else would you rather be?
Nowhere else in the world between 7 and 10 p.m. Ooh, that was a slider hanging up a bit. Rendon couldn't quite get up there to get it. So Anthony gets that batting average back up over 300 for the moment. Fastball jacked high in the air, deep left field. Now the wind's going to knock it down, and J.B. Shuck had to come in about 20 feet right there at the end. That breeze coming right down Half Street behind the Masson studio out there.
Bob, bring your group gathering in Nats Park this season. The bigger the group you have, Carp, the bigger the discount you get. Check out nationals.com/groups for more information on all group theme nights, as well as additional group experiences and benefits. Or call 202-675-Bob Carpenter or Nats.
Well, we still got that blank flag on the right, waiting for a championship someday to be written on there. Worth high in the air to right center. This one's going to tail all the way over to the right fielder, to Colin Cowgill. Interesting night with balls in the air. And a couple of quick outs for Weaver here in the third with LaRoche coming up. Adam got the night off last night. Drew Gooden forward for the Wizards. How about those guys? 2 in a row at Chicago. And the Wizards are in control of that first round NBA playoff series.
Great game last night. 101-99 in overtime. Stay hot.
Yes, sir. Got to see him play some college ball out in Lawrence, Kansas. 1-0 to LaRoche. Solid single to right through the shift first time. And there goes the bat, and it flies into the seats. And that's at least the third time this season Adam LaRoche has tossed his bat.
Well, if you look at his grip on the bat, Carp, it's barely in his hand. His bottom hand is almost off the bat entirely with just his index finger on the bat. Look how little the bat is in his hands. Just the top hand really on of it, and once he gets through his swing right there, he just lets it rip and heads up in the stands. You see the knob too on his bat. There's not a whole lot there. It's just one of those bats that he went to, I think, in 2012, right, when he started hitting real well.
Yeah.
Picked up Jason Worth's bat, started using it. Doesn't have a knob on it, and he's used it ever since. That model, at least. See, there's no knob on it, and the finger's off the end.
Hitters count here, 2 outs, bases empty. Weaver's given up 5 home runs this year. And Adam will take that one, 78 outside, ball 3. LaRoche and Harper had good swings at Weaver first inning. Bryce waiting to see what happens here. And another ball high in the air to the outfield. Trout looking up into the twilight, getting some help from his shortstop. And a 1-2-3 third inning on fly balls by Jared Weaver.
of Alexandria. 1-0 heading to the top of the fourth. Danny Espinoza, a little bunt single, stole second, got to third on a ground ball and scored on the Gio Gonzalez base hit. Mike Trout, 7th double of the year, doing it for the Angels. But it's been the Gio show so far. In a little bit of a jam early on and got the tailor-made 6-4 double play on the line drive. And then with 2 strikes and Danny Espinoza on third, just lays a nice soft liner out to left center field to put the Nats on the board. But his curveball's been good. His fastball's been effectively wild as usual. And he's doing his thing.
He's retired 5 in a row and 6 of the last 7. Eric Ibar lined into that double play that ended the first. Angels had bases loaded, 1 out, and were on the verge of taking a stranglehold on this series. We'll know in an hour and a half or so what a big turning point that might be. Popped him up right side. LaRoche over there and the catcher Lobaton. That thing just blew the ball back to the catcher. Normally that's a routine play out by the coach's box. So night falling on Nationals Park, and a cool night it is. Dan's downstairs, Bob and FP way upstairs and enjoying a 1-0 Nationals 4th inning lead. Chris Iannetta next. And he singled off the left field wall first time. It short hopped the wall, and Bryce Harper threw a bullet to second to keep him at first base. Iannetta in the series, 2 for 6 with 3 walks. He's been the most walked catcher in baseball over the last couple of years. Let's go inside the numbers and talk about Gio facing Chris Iannetta. As mentioned, 10 starts, 7-2 with a good ERA against the Angels. Left side, Rendon. When I say good ERA, it's 2.54. Look at the opponent's batting average at just 214, and a much better than 3-1 strikeout to walk ratio. So Gio against David Freese here. Ground ball to short first time. Breaking ball, yes, to the outside edge.
Tell you what, Gio, when he gets hits, you can see it when he takes the mound. It translates, especially when you get that home run in New York this year. When he's done that in the past, when he gets a base hit and he feels like he's into the ball game, look out, and that's when he really starts to deal.
And a ball that sails way upstairs, 1-2. Got him on the breaking ball.
Nasty.
Another 1-2-3 for Gio. 8 hitters in a row. Strikeout number 4. Harper, Desmond, Espinoza coming up. Gio served notice that he's going to be on tonight. Evidently challenging everybody to a fight, freezing them for a moment and blowing by them. Except it doesn't look like Abe's buying it. Not sure what that was all about. How can you win a race when you only run 1/3 of it anyway?
I like how Abe's dyeing his beard now, getting the blonde streaks in there. That looks good.
I had not noticed that. I'll have to keep an eye out.
He's using Just for Presidents.
Probably gets it free.
Yeah.
Part of that lifetime pension. Harper robbed of an RBI hit by Mike Trout in medium center field. First time up with a shoestring catch. Nobody's going to rob him on this. Cowgill to his left. And he makes a good pickup and a strong throw to keep Bryce at first base. So Bryce Harper coming alive with 2 good at-bats tonight. And that's his first hit in this series.
Yeah, Rob, first time up. Mike Trout, low line drive to center field. He took it away, and this one is a hanger right here. Curveball up in the zone, and look at Bryce Harper stay through the baseball. We noted last night that on his first at-bat to left field, he flied out deep. He stayed through the baseball. It was one of the better swings we've seen Bryce take this year. And tonight, 2 good ABs.
That'll bring in Ian Desmond. Swung at the first pitch, first time up, and popped up to short. And a bouncer, third base side. Freeze to Kendrick. Can't get a throw off. And these days, second basemen have to be careful about holding on to that ball long enough.
Well, that's a good point right there. I mean, you want to be quick. You want to try to turn it. But with the speed of Desmond, probably better off that Howie Kendrick ate that ball. But it's tough to be quick now, because if you're too quick and you drop the ball, everybody's safe. So you almost have to be right on top of it to where, hey, I'm going to catch that. The transfer, if I get to it, it's great. If not, we'll just take the force out.
Yeah, it's going to result in some interesting decisions for second basemen for the most part, and some shortstops.
Well, I heard Major League Baseball is taking a look at it, and they may ease up on that rule at second base especially, and the transfer rule in the outfield as well. Just kind of get back to a more common sense call on it, and that was, you know, what they've been talking about. So we'll see.
Danny Espinosa, bunt base hit in self-defense first time. Stole second. Went to third on a Lobaton grounder and scored on the Gio base hit.
In trouble with his eyes tonight. He's been doing that both at bats. Windy night, breezy night. I'm pretty sure he wears contacts. And he's having trouble.
Yeah. Well, Ian Desmond may have some running on his mind here. Espinosa swiping 1-2 innings ago. He picked the right pitch with Weaver, and that was 78. You can get there.
Well, he slide step right there. He's not letting Desmond go and speeding up his delivery to home.
And a step off with a look. Huge gap in right center. Espinosa takes one way upstairs.
Hashtag Masson Nationals. Send your picture to that for a chance to have it shown in a future broadcast. It's brought to you by AT&T.
Infield in a rink pull position. And a 1-2 with one out. Espinosa fights one off.
And mix it up nice. Fastballs. Then 84 to 86 miles an hour. But you thought the Nats might have a big night offensively tonight, just based on the fact that Jared Weaver's a strike thrower. The Nats really haven't had problems with strike throwers this year. It's been guys that are wild.
Desmond, great jump. A base hit right behind him, and Ian's heading for third. Danny Espinosa pulling the ball effectively, and it's a corner situation with one out.
That's just good hitting right there. Hitting behind the runner. Espinosa's second hit of the night. And sometimes that base hit bunt your first time up just allows you to relax and play the game. You already got a knock under your belt because of the base hit bunt. You go up your second time, you're feeling 1 for 1, you're feeling confident, and Espinosa, with that smooth swing from the left side that's worked for him so far this year, does a nice job of getting Ian Desmond to third base.
Danny Espinosa is now 13 for 41 from the left side of the plate. So batting .317 there. And overall, now hitting .298. Infield back, and that's a big swing by Jose Lobaton.
I'm looking for something up in the zone that he could get into the outfield.
And it was a question from Dan Colco today about how effective the Nats catchers have been over the last week and a half or so. And Matt likes the way Lobaton's been waiting on the ball and striking it up the middle. One ball, one strike. Washington out hitting the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim 6-3 so far, leading 1-0. Hey, the pitcher's got an RBI. Why not his battery mate? And he went reaching. Strike two.
Well, we've seen Lobaton do this before, to where he takes a couple of big hacks until he gets to 2 strikes, then spreads out, shortens up, and puts it in play. Another changeup from Weaver. First strike a changeup, second strike a changeup, and Lobaton out in front of both. Spread out, shorten up. Try to get something you can lift.
Weaver went first to third that time, since you can't go third to first anymore.
He went straight ninja right there. Step off, and then he faked with the arm to Desmond at third.
Took a karate chop at our runner over there.
Bruce Lee.
And a swing and a foul tip. And right into the glove of Iannetta. So it'll be 2 outs. Nissan will track it.
It's 7-8 miles an hour right here. Went change up to the curveball, and Lobaton with a big 2-strike hack swings through it. And now tonight's offense steps up to the plate in the form of Gio Gonzalez.
Gio has 7 career RBIs now.
And he would love 8. Crowd chanting Gio.
Well, he's 2 for 9 this year with a homer, 2 RBIs. And he hits that one out to short. Ball with a lot of overspin on it. He gets thrown out by Eric Ibar. The Nats threaten at first and third, 1 out. It's a 1-0 game into the 5th. DC Lottery presents the Friday Fun Concert Series at the Fairgrounds. 2 hours pre and post game each Friday. It's fun to play the DC Lottery. And by Coons, when you're talking cars, you're talking Coons. Abe victorious in controversial fashion tonight. Going to the top of the 5th inning. Shuck, Weaver, Cowgill, 8, 9, and 1. Jeep takes us inside the numbers. So we talked about this during our opening segment. 4th and 5th winningest pitchers since the start of 2011. In 11, Weaver went 18 and 8. Then he went 20 and 5 and 12. Gio 16 and 12, and then the 21 and 8 season here.
Yeah, and up until last year, Jared Weaver had 5 consecutive 30-start seasons. He's been a horse.
Yeah, last year he had what they called a non-displaced fracture to the left side radial head in his left arm. It was non-surgical, but he missed over a month at the start of the season. Ended up making 24 starts.
I have no idea what you just said. No.
Well, radial tells me shoulder area.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. We have to talk to Lee Kuntz and Steve Goldberg.
Was it AM or FM shoulder?
That ball solidly hit to left. And Bryce Harper backing up just a bit. JB Shuck down. Top of the 5th underway.
This is back by popular demand. The Nationals Beltway Burger Pack. It includes a ticket, a burger, some fries, a drink, starting at just $20 for Thursday and Friday home games. This deal could only be purchased online at nationals.com/burger pack.
Here's Gio against Weaver. Struck out first time with 2 men aboard. He had first and second, 1 out. He went swinging on the first pitch, surprising Rendon and LaRoche, who were charging, and then later in the at-bat bunted foul into the strikeout. And a foul tip on a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Right at the knees.
Well, somebody in the Angels dugout said that's low. And Paul Emmel chirping right back. No, it's not.
And Gio tried to go right down there again. That was well low. And a 3-2, pretty well hit to the gap in right center. Worth chasing, reaching. 2 outs.
Pretty good at bat right there by Jared Weaver. Pretty good swing on that.
Colin Cowgill will take his time getting to the batter's box. Give his pitcher a bit of a breather here. And Gio now retiring 10 consecutive Angels. Pretty good strike on the outside edge. Cowgill 0 for 2. Called strikeout to start the game, and a bouncer to Rendon with 2 men aboard to end the second.
Man, Gio's last start against the Cards, he retired the last 11 hitters he faced. Change up 84.
Yeah, that was big. That was the night after Wainwright had shut down the Nats and shut them out. Got the Nationals back even in that series, and they eventually would gain the split with a win on Sunday. Steven Strasburg was great in that one. So the Nats will throw some pitching at the Padres. Jordan Zimmerman, Eric Stoltz, a lefty tomorrow night. Steven Strasburg, Robbie Erlin, a lefter on Friday. We will see that hard-throwing right-hander Andrew Keshner in the Saturday afternoon game here. So tomorrow night, lefty versus righty, Johnny and Ray, 6:30, Nats Extra. Swing and a miss on a pitch upstairs.
Well, you're going to have to play good against the Padres. They've been playing well of late. Mercedes-Benz on the pitch track. You look at the fastball 93. 21 games this year. The Padres have played 15 games decided by 2 runs or less. So they are used to playing close games.
And just a little program note for you. Phil Wood will be with Johnny tomorrow night. You know, Ray helped the Mets win a world championship, and they got to get him up to New York every once in a while for a little good karma and vibes. And Ray will be away from us for an evening. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He took Cowgill right out of the strike zone, and that's 11 in a row for Gio Gonzalez. He's rolling. Top of the order coming up. Washington by 1. So far. Let's have a look at what some of our guys have done here at home since the start of last year. Brought to you by Honda. Look at the extra base hits for Denard Span. Good triples ballpark for him. Anthony Rendon holding his own. Jason Worth always good here at home. These 3 hitters a collective 1 for 6 tonight with Rendon's bunt base hit. Denard Span is due against Jared Weaver, but he pulls it right to Albert Pujols at the bag.
Well, whenever you're a guy like Span, you spray the ball around the ballpark. It's always a red flag when you start rolling over balls to first base. I know as a left-handed hitter, whenever I grounded out to first base, it meant I was coming around the baseball. And it was my big-time red flag to know that I had to really fight to get my hands inside, go up the middle, go the other way a few times to get him back in the right slot.
84 right in there to Anthony Rendon. He's pulled it twice. Bunt base hit, third base side, and a fly ball to left in the third. Hitters on the attack early in counts now as the evening wears on. They know that Gonzalez and Weaver are going to be around the dish. And out into center for Mike Trout, unless the wind blows it over to the right fielder. Either could have caught it. So Jordan Zimmerman tomorrow night against the lefty Eric Stoltz. Friday, Strasburg and Robbie Erlin. WUSA 9 joins us for another 1 o'clock Saturday game. Tanner Roark and Andrew Kashner, who can really bring it. He's 2-1. And then Taylor Jordan Sunday against Ian Kennedy. The Padres are in for 4. San Diego right now, a record of 10-11.
They're in the middle of a 10-game, 3-city road trip. that will take them a combined 6,219 miles.
Yikes. Just tire those guys out. They are in Milwaukee right now. 1-1 ball game. First inning. Against those 15-6 Brewers. Best record in baseball, Milwaukee. Fastball up and into Jason Worth, 2-1. Got a strike on that breaking ball against Jason earlier, not that time, and look out here, 3-1.
80 miles an hour right there from Weaver. Looked like the slider. He didn't get the call.
Did that time. And Worth planted the foot and got right back to the other side.
3-1 changeup right here. 77 miles an hour. Worth thinks it's away. Paul Allen says not so fast.
And Worth hits this one well out to left center. Trout makes the call. And the Nats in order in the 5th inning. Well, we thought these guys would be pretty good. Weaver for the Angels. Gio for the Nats. They've lived up to the advanced billing tonight. A lot of action in this 1-0 game through 5. That was Gio's 71st pitch of the night. Trout 1 for 2 against him. He's taken him the other way twice. A double and a fly ball to right field. Continues to stay away, 2-0.
Yeah, big inning for Gio. 2 big guys in the Angels order coming up.
Missing on 3-0. Gio's best inning tonight. The 3rd when he got Trout, Pujols, and Kendrick. Took 21 pitches, but he got him 1, 2, 3.
Trout just lets the ball get so deep before he commits to it. The bat's so quick. We talk about Anthony Rendon being quick from A to B. Mike Trout might be quicker. I mean, he just His swing is so short and compact with so much power involved because of the lower half. Legs are so strong, but the bat is quick as I've ever seen.
Well, we throw around the term a lot these days, 5-tool player. So, FP, a lot of different things work into that.
Well, I'd say Mike Trout, even though he's probably the best all-around player in baseball, the throwing ability at number 4 might be a little questionable. He doesn't have that great an arm, maybe average to below average. But other than that, he does everything as good or better than anybody in the big leagues.
It'll be Gio's third walk of the night, and he's got to go off the stretch now to face Albert Pujols, who's 1 for 2 against him.
Yeah, he's got to keep Mike Trout close to first base.
Trout so far this year 2 for 2 stealing, and he has 88 stolen bases in just over 2 years in the big leagues. He led the league with 49 2 years ago.
Oh, action in the Nats bullpen all of a sudden after that leadoff walk. The Bear.
Aaron Barrett gearing things up in a hurry. Outside to Albert Pujols. Hard single to center in the first. And then a bouncing ball in the third, on which Ian Desmond made a fine play to throw him out. And a quick visit now from Steve McCatty, as Gio has temporarily lost the strike zone here.
Well, just get a little bit quick with the front side flying open. He's lost his release point to up and away. That shoulder rotates out a little bit early. That head kind of bounces toward home plate too far. You lose your release point, and Steve McCatty just to go up there, tighten him up, tell him to slow it down. Maybe even go with an off-speed pitch to get that release point back out in front.
Gio averaging 14 pitches per inning in the first 5. Thanks to the double play ball off the bat of Ibar in the first. The double by Trout, the Pujols single, of no use to the Angels, and then only 1 base hit since. Chris Iannetta leading off the second. Good tailing 93.
Had good adjustment, slowed down the delivery, kept the front side closed right to the target. And Gio's talking to himself, and that's always a good thing. Just as long as he doesn't answer.
Pujols late for 93.
Watch the right shoulder of Gio Gonzalez. See how it starts closed? Well, we didn't get there. Just the pitch going on the outside. Stays nice and close until the last minute, and that has to be what Steve McCatty told him when he went out there. Just that front shoulder, that right shoulder kind of already toward the left-handed batter's box. If that comes open too quick, you lose your release point, but he's staying closed nice.
Target in, but a throw over, and Trout back in quickly.
Well, it's an old throw over twice. You're going to throw over 3 times, and Mike Trout might be rolling right here. Just guess and go.
Espinosa almost straight up the middle. Runner holding. That's a breaking ball that had Pujols dancing out, coming right at his spikes.
2 throwovers, and then he threw a breaking ball.
Yes, he did. So in essence, I'm going to throw a breaking ball, so I need to keep you close.
Yes. A little tip as you move to the higher levels of baseball.
2-2. That was a changeup. So he got ahead of Albert with a couple of heaters. And his selection with a fast runner at first, nobody out, and a payoff pitch coming will be interesting to see. Pujols in this series 3 for 11
I think he just located a fastball right here. Nothing tricky. Just throw that two-seamer on the outer half and locate it.
Pujols rips it right by Rendon. He's going to hit the short corner. Harper up with it. They're sending Trout. Here's Bryce's throw, and it's a little too high. Ball game is tied. Pujols ends up at second base with his 6th RBI of this series.
Well, we've been talking about the speed of Mike Trout the whole series, and you just saw it on display right there. He didn't even hesitate around third base. Watch him roll. Location mistake by Gio. It was supposed to be outside. It was right down the middle. No hesitation on sending Trout, but look at the extra gear here. Good throw by Harper. And at the highest level, when the game moves this quick, just a little too high to get the speedy Mike Trout, who was absolutely getting it around third base. Wow.
Well, the Nats must see something, because the end has come quickly for Gio Gonzalez. A walk and a double in the 6th inning, and he's being removed from the game. Pujols goes 2 for 3 against him, drives in a run. Aaron Barrett on the way with Kendrick and Ibar. The next 2 hitters, it's all tied up now.
About Trout versus Harper in this series, and this was the first example of where we really had Trout versus Harper. Watch Mike Trout at first base. He's stealing, but he's making sure that Gio goes home, so he got a bad jump on the steal. So mere mortals are thinking, well, I'm just going to get to third as the ball kicks out from the left field corner. Mike Trout puts in an extra gear coming around shortstop, hits the bag at third, and speed on display. I've never seen anybody score from first on that with that kind of jump. Mike Trout is one of the fastest players in the big leagues, and that was impressive.
Here's Aaron Barrett, who comes in to take on Howie Kendrick. Barrett in the 9th inning last night got Stewart, Shuck, and Trout. 1, 2, 3, couple of strikeouts. And that's a strike to Howie Kendrick, who's never faced him before. Howie tonight, a walk and a strikeout. So Aaron Barrett, wow, the league only hitting a .063 against him. 1 hit, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings. That's to the right side, and that's a good at bat by Howie Kendrick. LaRoche to Barrett, and Pujols to third base, 1 out.
Yeah, nice job of getting the ball to the right side, advancing Pujols to third. Like you said, great at bat. Now it's up to Aaron Barrett to think about a strikeout here and using that slider of his. Talked to him today in his locker. I said, you have Giancarlo Stanton in your book already and Mike Trout in your book already. I said, how's that make you feel? He just smiled.
Comes in one batter after Albert Pujols, and is probably okay with that. Here's Ibar, who's been a tough out from this side of the plate. Nats infield in. He's 0 for 2 tonight, batting right-handed against Gio. An FP, a walk, and a double after Gio had looked in total control with 11 batters in a row through the 5th inning. And I'm just thinking Matt Williams and Steve McCatty must have seen something that prompted them to get him out of the game.
Or know something that we don't know, but it looked like Gio Gonzalez was on cruise control. 101 pitches last time out. So it wasn't like he went that deep in that game. He was on cruise control against the Cardinals, so it wasn't really a high-stress game.
83 pitches tonight, 49 strikes. Not a great ratio, but the pitch count not that high. And look at Ibar just flip it the other way to put the Angels on top. I mean, that's how Rod Carew used to hit when he was in that uniform after his days in Minnesota. So both of those runs charged to Gio Gonzalez, and the Angels, smelling a sweep, grabbed the lead here in the 6th inning.
Well, you were liking the slider versus Ibar, but that was a fastball up, and I don't think Gio Gonzalez is very happy in the first base dugout.
Chris Iannetta.
I'm not talking about the hit. I'm talking about that he's not in the game.
I kind of got that from the glance we had at him as well. A quick hook for one of your starters and one of your stars. And that'll be an interesting topic of conversation after the game, I'm sure. Iannetta has singled and grounded to Rendon.
Yeah, but when we sit here, we don't know half the stuff they know down that dugout about how he's feeling, you know, what's happened between starts. A lot more that goes into it than the simple decision-making process. I'll guarantee you that.
Visibly upset. High strike. And the count to Iannetta. No balls, 2 strikes.
Well, I'll say this about Gio. Probably not happy coming out of the game, but 2 runs can't be the end of the world for your offense. I mean, you would think that your offense is going to find a way to score more than 1 run tonight. Or at least you'd hope, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's at times the pitchers lately, kind of like last year, have had to be perfect. Every run you give up feels like a dagger. And Barrett misses away, 2-2. Coming into this game, the Nats are hitting $170. They were 4 for 36 with runners in scoring position. 25 walks sounds pretty good, but that was almost as many hits as they had, 32. It has just been a very strange 2-4 homestand. 2-2, runner going, swing and a miss. Lobaton on target. Strike him out, throw him out, double play. Jose Lobaton 3 for 8 now, gunning down runners. So does a double play turn the tide for the Nats again? We'll find out.
could use one of those right about now. I could also use a Jordan Zimmerman bobblehead, and who couldn't? Come watch the Nats close out April as they play the San Diego Padres Sunday, April 27th, 1:35. Last game of the homestand. First 25,000 fans will receive a Jordan Zimmerman bobblehead. You see it right there on the right. It looks good to me. This giveaway will be distributed at all gates while supplies last. Get your game tickets by calling 202-675-NATS or visit nationals.com/tickets.
Now the Angels on top. Adam LaRoche, Bryce Harper, Ian Desmond. LaRoche and Harper 1 for 2 tonight. Well, the Nats may look back and regret that not scoring 4th inning when they had 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Triangular shift on the right field side. And LaRoche will just bump it right over everybody and drop it onto the turf. He's 2 for 3, and Mike Scioscia is still trying to figure out how to defense Adam LaRoche.
They just lobbed it over the net right there.
Now 3 for 7 in the series.
It's so weird talking to him before the game day saying, I don't even look at the shift anymore. I don't care about the shift. I just hit the way I hit. And you see right here a good example. Perfectly placed in between what looked like about 14 Angels on defense.
Here's Harper. 2 good at bats tonight. Robbed by Trout in the 1st. Clean single to right, leading off the 4th.
Well, all right. Jumping jacks in the bullpen. Rally jumping jacks from the guys in the pen. Now they're doing some sort of stretch.
Does anybody use the word calisthenics?
Well, I like
anymore?
it. They're killing a couple of birds with one stone.
Harper showing bunt and then taking a hack.
There you go.
David Freese just hung his head a little bit at third base.
CrossFit going on down there. Stay like that till it gets a hit, guys.
Yeah.
Just like that. Don't move.
Give us a prayer mountain pose here.
All right.
Little warrior 1 maybe.
Yeah.
Off speed in the dirt, 2-1. Hey, those guys are out there trying to stay warm too.
Yeah, and Nelson Robledo, the bullpen catcher, is having none of it. He is sitting right by the jet warmer and saying, "You guys stretch, you got this." I'm just going to kick it right here, and they know they're on TV. They have a monitor down there in the bullpen, and he's laughing.
2-1. He pulled the string on Bryce with 78.
Bet you have to change your pose after a swing and a miss. Yep.
Deep stretch. Grab your big toe if you can.
Yeah, we see you, Nelson.
Yeah, sit down, Robledo. Stay there. Doing nothing. 2-2 pitch. Harper trying to bunt on 2 strikes. And pops it up to the catcher.
That's just thinking too much is all that is. I mean, you're down by 1 run. You hit a home run. You're up by a run. You get a chance after hitting the ball hard twice. It's one thing if you bring a guy in that you haven't faced before and he's nasty. Still questionable. But when you've hit 2 bolts off of Jared Weaver and you square around the bunt with 2 strikes, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, he's handled them tonight. When you're handling a guy, you don't get those opportunities very often as a major leaguer. When you're seeing the ball big off somebody, you have to take advantage.
Inside to Ian Desmond. Now ball 2. Not sure Ian got what he thought he was going to on a 2-0 count. Only RBI tonight, Gio Gonzalez. A 2-out single to bring in Danny Espinosa back in the second inning. Espinosa had bunted his way aboard and stolen second base. Desmond gets a fastball, hits it high in the air to left center. JB shucked the call. I mean, you've got to get all of one to get it out tonight. 2 out. And now the Nats only 2 for 2 hitter stepping in, Danny Espinosa.
You know, if you're a power hitter and you want to lay down a bunt every once in a while to start up an inning, to get some runners on, maybe ignite your ball club, I totally get that. But when you're down by 1 run and you've hit 2 bolts tonight.
Yeah, but not to mention the count.
Sometimes that little man that talks to you in the batter's box can tell you to do weird stuff, and I'm sure Bryce Harper is thinking that right now. Seeing it big tonight. It's the best we've seen him swing the bat this year. 2 Ps. Lined out to center first time up. Bullet to right for a hit his second time up. I've been there. That guy in your head will tell you to do weird things.
Weaver's been falling behind hitters consistently here. And he goes 2-0 on Danny. Danny Espinosa seeing the ball well, 3-0. Weaver threw him a breaking ball and walks him on 4.
Wow. 3-0 breaking ball to a guy that's got a couple hits off him tonight. Danny Espinosa 2 for 2, but to put the tying run in scoring position to get to Jose Lobaton. If I'm Lobaton, that fires me up a little bit. You're going to throw him a 3-0 curveball to get to me? I mean, basically that was a pitch around. And not only a pitch around, putting the tying run in scoring position with 2 outs. If I'm Jose Lobaton, I take that personally.
And it's interesting, even with all the long counts by Weaver tonight, that's his first walk of the game. He's been kind of on the edge all night. If the inning continues, Kevin Franzen will bat for Aaron Barrett. Lobaton has a ton of room up the middle to the right field side of the bag as Kendrick really plays him to pull. And when he started swinging the bat well over the weekend against St. Louis, we saw him taking hard line drives up the middle.
Well, it's a good take. That was the pitch he swung at last time up. He got 2 changeups to a curveball and struck out with a chance to drive in a run. And Weaver going right back to the changeup on the first pitch. Fish ain't biting.
Now he's got a 2-0 count in his favor. Nissan will track ball 2.
This is a sinker at 84. You just see how it was framed by Chris Iannetta, regardless of what pitch track says. You're not going to get that call.
2-1 ball game. Nats about hit the Angels 7-5. And that ball drilled out to center, but Mike Trout is right there. Well hit, right at him. 2 stranded. Nats have left 7 tonight, and this one into the 7th inning. Angels by 1. The Washington Nationals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals. Well, Denard Span, walk-off sacrifice fly on Sunday, and still feeling the effects of the Gatorade several days later. For the Achiever and you, PNC Bank with our minor league report. Wilmer Defoe, 22 years of age, from the Dominican. He's an infielder, signed in June of 2010. It's his 5th year in the organization. 5 multi-hit games during that 11-game hitting streak. So he is red hot for the last week or so. Aaron Barrett, fastball ripped out to left center by David Freese. That's going to be a couple of bags for him. Freese will have his first hit of this series. Well, the Nats were going to hit 4. Aaron Barrett, if that inning had continued.
Yeah, belt high fastball to Freese, getting the barrel out, splitting the gap, and Bryce Harper was playing Freese way over on the line apparently, and that ball gets into the gap easily.
Freese with his first double of the year, only his 2nd extra base hit as an Angel. J.B. Shuck, the hitter. And you think he's trying to pull the ball and move the runner?
Absolutely is.
Their pitcher, Jared Weaver's thrown 82 pitches. They have brought out Ian Stewart on deck here in the number 9 spot. And Barrett goes down and away with 93. 1 ball, 1 strike. You and I've talked about this before, though. Sometimes you take relievers who are kind of 1-inning guys. They finish an inning, they get into the dugout, and then you got to fire it up again for the next inning.
Yep.
Do they lose a little bit of that edge? That was some nasty movement on a 92 fastball there. I think Shuck thought he was on that pitch. Disappeared on him.
I mean, Barry has to establish his fastball. There's no doubt about that. But, I mean, his pitch is the slider, and there's, you know, that old saying in baseball, always get beat with your best pitch.
That was it. A pretty nifty block by Lobaton, even able to deflect it over toward the third base side. So at the stroke of 9 here in D.C., the Nats have lost a 1-0 lead. Gio out of the game, somewhat surprisingly, after 5 innings plus 2 hitters. And at 2-2, he's able to pull that breaking ball over to LaRoche, to Barrett for the first out.
Good at bat by Shuck. They did a nice job tonight advancing leadoff doubles. Howie Kendrick did it last inning. After the Albert Pujols double, scored Mike Trout. And now J.B. Shuck. Little ground ball to the right side of LaRoche. Does the same thing. Nicely done. It's good baseball.
Ian Stewart faced Aaron Barrett last night, leading off the top of the 9th inning, and Aaron got him on strikes. Looking. And he goes back to it with the breaking ball, got the outside corner. Stewart is a pinch hitter, 0 for 3. Batting .235 overall with a homer, 4 RBIs. And Barrett will move him off the plate. Counts even.
Yeah, needs a strikeout in a big way right here. There you go. Go to that slider. That's your best pitch. And if that's your best pitch, live and die with it in big situations. 84 miles an hour, straight down. Not a lot of tilt to Barrett's slider. He just throws basically a short curveball as hard as he can, and we'll call it a slider because of the velocity.
And a 1-2. Another slight piece, and it's fouled off.
See, what you can do right here is show the fastball eye high, change his eye level, and then go with a slider off of it, because that changes your vision as a hitter. You have a tendency to give up on the slider after you see a high fastball because you think it's the same pitch. Don't always have to go to the punch out on the very next pitch. You can set it up if you want.
And he goes with a fastball, overpowers him, but Stewart able to foul that one away as well. Nasty slider for the strikeout. His second, 2 down.
Get beat with your best pitch, and Aaron Barrett's best pitch is a slider. That one was filthy. The nuclear slider from Barrett. Look at this rotation. He's thinking fastball, bottom drops out over the top. And a big strikeout in a 1-run game. Runner on third, less than 2 outs for Aaron Barrett. Nice job.
Colin Cowgill 0 for 3 tonight in the leadoff spot. That's a wild pitch on the breaking ball. And coming home is David Freese. 3-1 Angels.
Boy, you work so hard to get the strikeout. And it's looking good, like you're going to get out of it. And all of a sudden you bounce the slider and the run scores anyways. Let's see if Lobodon had a chance.
Hard to say.
Hard to say. I'm sure if you ask him, he would tell you he should have blocked it maybe a little better than that. But Barrett bounced it, scored it off to the left, and another run for the Angels, 3-1.
So the first run Barrett has been charged with in his big league career. He did allow an inherited runner to score last inning.
It's a good trip by McCaddy right here. You saw that fastball up from Barrett. Knows he's rattled because of the wild pitch. Young pitcher, first go around the big leagues. You can go out there and calm him down. Slow down. You can read his lips. Slow down. Starting to rush.
Two balls, no strikes. Better get the inning over here because Trout's waiting. And he misses. Well, Colin Cowgill ahead of Mike Trout. Base on balls, and a look out here.
Well, you can tell he's rattled. Rattled by the wild pitch. And now he's got to regroup, step off the mound, get the focus back, and get in that strike zone and pull out your nastiest stuff against one of the best hitters in baseball.
Well, you might strike a guy out one night, and then he gets to face you again the next night. That's what's happening here. .92 with inward movement for a strike. And then the slider hangs up. It's like we talked about it a while ago tonight. Every run you give up is just like a dagger when you're having so much trouble scoring. And a ball to right. Jason Worth has to come away for this one. It'll be Espinosa instead.
Nice play.
Man, that thing got out there and died. Good range by Danny Espinosa. Gets us to the 7th inning stretch.
Good range might be an understatement, partner. Look how far he goes for this ball. Over the shoulder catch. Nicely done by the Nats second baseman.
Time for our Hyundai 7th inning stretch on the banks of the Anacostia. Cool night. The Nats need the bats to heat up. Innings with which to work on those bats. A 3-1 Angel lead. Interesting situation with Gio coming out of the game. Interesting decision by Bryce Harper bunting with a 2-strike count. There's just some things that are a little bit off with the ball club right now.
Yeah, they're in some kind of funk. I don't know what it is, but there's been some weird stuff going on. I have no idea why Bryce Harper scored around with 2 strikes down by 1. That's a situation to me that you dream about as a hitter, that you want to be the hero, hit one of the seats and put your team up by 1.
2 good at bats already.
Yeah, and lined out his first time up, hit a bullet his second time. Some of the best at bats we've seen. So, I mean, we won't know what he was thinking till after the game. But Gio Gonzalez on cruise control tonight, had his good stuff going on, and you know, just gave up that double to Albert Pujols and Mike Trout, and the speed of Mike Trout, which is one of the most impressive things I've seen in a while on a baseball field, scoring all the way from first base. But hey, you're not playing well collectively as a ball club. What do you got to do? Pull your pants up. This is a big boy sport and figure out a way to get it done. I mean, nobody's going to feel sorry for you, and you got a lot of ball game left. Well, 3 innings.
So here we go to the bottom of the 7th. Nate McLouth is the Nats pinch hitter against Michael Kahn, who pitched a scoreless 8th against Span, Espinosa, and Worth last night. Nate McLouth has faced him 0 for 1 with a fly out, and that's a fastball right in there from the 27-year-old right-hander. Nate McLouth as a pinch hitter, 1 for 4. Two and 1. Dan McLouth out to left. It'll play for J.B. Shuck.
As we promised you earlier in the game, we have the AT&T photo And there it is. It's John Kruk on the left, and I don't know on the right.
Nice looking Nats gear.
Loving it.
He could take that smile and turn it into some offense. So top of the order now, Denard Span. Last night against Kahn, he rolled over a grounder, hit it right to Albert Pujols at first base.
And a fastball 95, slider 82, changeup at 86.
Denard Span in this series is 0 for 10 with a pair of walks. He's made some tough outs, as he discussed earlier with Dan Kolko. But the Nats just aren't doing a whole lot of table setting at the top of the lineup. And whoever they have been, this is kind of stunning right here. The first 3 hitters in the Nats lineup in this series have 2 hits.
Well, you're missing Ryan Zimmerman and you're missing Wilson Ramos. You take 2 big pieces out of your lineup. I mean, just Zimmerman alone is tough, or just Ramos alone is tough. You get one of those guys back, it lengthens out your order. But take 2 out.
Yeah. Well, and then Denard lost for a week.
But like I said, you still got to find a way.
2-1, and that ball's inside. The Nats will take the base runner given to them. 2 walks tonight, presented by the Angels. 4 last night. And in the ball game on Monday, they received 7 bases on balls. So there have been opportunities. Rendon next.
Well, tonight you're going to have to manufacture. Just because it's a cold night, the wind is blowing, this ballpark is playing humongous. And it's going to take a few hits, some back-to-back knocks to score some runs tonight. It's not like you just jump back into a game, even though you're only down by 2 with 1 swing. And that being said, watch him go deep, and that's fine. But the way this park has played so far tonight, you've watched the outfielders turn, run for balls toward the fence, and then turn around, run back toward the infield. So wind is blowing. Park's playing big. You're going to have to string some hits together.
Yeah, the Nats have 1 home run in this series. And the Angels have the 2 by Albert Pujols last night.
You know, Carp, in all my baseball experience, I don't ever recall a park playing so big when it's cold and so small when it's warm like Nats Park. It's like 2 different places.
Right now, Kahn all over the place, and Span down to second base easily on a really wild fastball.
Yeah, that one was nowhere near. So after walking to Denard Span, this fastball was supposed to be on the outer half. Look at all the movement. Chris Iannetta can't get his glove to the baseball, and now Span is scoring position with 1 out.
Angels bullpen working again. That's a left-hander who just joined the ball club at the start of this series. Lefty Nick Morandi. Anthony Rendon 1 for 3 with a bunt base hit. And Kahn just overthrowing everywhere. Another 3-0 count.
Well, you think the lefty's for LaRoche, right, Carp? So,
yeah.
I mean, if Rendon walks, he's still going to be in for Worth, you'd think.
Yeah, 1-2-3 eighth inning last night for Kahn. Rendon wasn't batting second last night. Espinosa was. He bounced out Span, flew out Worth. And right now, Anthony Rendon trying to get aboard any way he can. Instead, he'll pop it up. Out into center, Trout. He comes in a long way. None of the outfielders went out there. He ends up catching that ball about 40 feet onto the outfield grass, 2 down.
We got 2 veteran guys in the middle, Eric Ibar, Howie Kendrick, and Mike Trout is giving him the business right now. Like, hey, can I get a little help here? But on a windy night, when you have 2 veteran middle guys, they're saying, I want nothing to do with that pop-up. Trout had to come a long way. Watch the middle guys right here. Howie Kendrick, Eric Ibar. No. Yeah.
Kid's got it.
Nah, I don't feel like going for that. And in their defense, maybe that ball started out a little bit deeper and was blown back, which we've seen a couple times tonight. But Trout catches it, gives a look to the middle guy and says, hey, how about a little help right here?
He just told himself, I got it.
Yes.
So here's Worth. Jason has struck out and flied out twice. That's right over the outer half, and Chris Iannetta pointed to him, said good pitch. We probably wouldn't mind seeing him throw another one right there. The Nats need one big swing to reverse things and get the offense back to where it needs to be. They've actually out-hit the Angels 7-6 tonight. By far the most hits they've had in this series, only 6 in the first 2 games. He gives him a breaking ball on that outer edge, 1-2.
I mean, this is the way the whole, well, I should say both leagues now with the Angels jumping in. Everybody's pitched Jason Worth like this. Fastball away to a slider away. And he really hasn't seen anything on the inner half of the plate consistently this whole year.
Great pitch on the Mercedes-Benz pitch track. That fastball running up and in, counts even.
It's supposed to be away. It actually could work in his favor right there. It's not a bad pitch.
Fernando Salas, who pitched a scoreless 7th here on Monday night with a couple of strikeouts, joining the lefty Nick Marandi.
Yeah, got a fastball right down the middle, 95, but it was 95, and in 2-strike mode, you can get away with something right there when you throw that hard. I'll tell you what, the Angels outfielders are not going to have many assists this year because they play as deep as any outfield I've seen. And I know Jason Worth represents the tying run, so they're probably in a no doubles set right now, but they've been deep this whole series.
Worth got a breaking ball, hit it out to center, but you've got to kill one to get it out of here tonight.
Now, park's closed.
Nats have stranded 8. We go to the 8th. 3-1 Angels.
Top of the 8th inning, Danny Espinosa having a nice night on base 3 times. Gio Gonzalez on cruise control in this one. Looked like he was going to give it a finish. Was taken out after 83 pitches. And Albert Pujols, the night after hitting his 500th tater, hits a double down the line. And Mike Trout, who got a late break on a steal, he had to make sure Gio Gonzalez was going to the plate. Scored all the way from first. And then Eric Ibar slaps the single into left to score Pujols. And the Nats need a Curly W.
Top of the 8th inning, it'll be Ross Detweiler against Albert Pujols, Howie Kendrick, and Eric Ibar.
See the opponent's average. Lefties hitting 230 run. Righties just 192 off Detweiler in his mustache. Fastball, curveball change for Ross Detweiler, who, if you're a conspiracy theorist, could pitch on Sunday just by getting his work in here today.
Albert Pujols goes up swinging. They had never faced each other before, and Jason Worth waiting for that. Pujols tonight 2 for 4 with an RBI.
Oh, it's that time of the night. Let's talk about the Peanuts, the Northern Division champs. Potomac Nationals are back, folks, April 23rd to the 29th. They have Bryce Harper t-shirt night, team posters, pups in the park, pups outside the park, fireworks. Come down and see the future Nats all summer long. Go to PotomacNationals.com for details.
Howie Kendrick 0 for 2 with a walk. And Detweiler take a little bit off, just missed away with that changeup. Ross has not given up an earned run yet this season. That's a fastball away, 92. He's really nice to watch when he's free and easy, because the ball just explodes out of his hand. One of the easiest motions you'll ever see with 92, 93.
Well, Matt Williams was asked last night after the game if he thought about putting Detweiler back in the rotation. He said he has, but not based on what happened with Taylor Jordan last night. And I don't think Matt Williams would put Ross back in. But there's talk about Sunday, so we'll see.
As we mentioned, Gio tonight, Zimmerman tomorrow, Strasburg Friday, and then Tanner Roark, who certainly has earned his spot in the day game on Saturday against Andrew Kashner, who can really throw hard and is a good San Diego starter. Sunday we'll see, right before a road trip to Houston and Philadelphia. And that's inside. Detweiler walks Kendrick. And for Detweiler, his 6th walk of the year against 8 strikeouts. So Ross hasn't been very hittable, but control has been an issue at times. And here's Ibar, who's never faced him. Rips a base hit. Another multi-hit game for Eric Ibar, who in this series is 7 for 13.
Yeah, Mike Scioscia's going to have to convince him to get on the team bus tonight. He's going to say, Skipper, I think I want to stay in D.C. for a little longer. Yeah, nice series.
They're taking the train late night, opening up a series at Yankee Stadium. And Ibar's got the cold weather gear on and swinging the bat like it's the middle of summer. Chris Iannetta, their catcher, next. Iannetta in the series, 2 for 8, but on base 5 times. And a good fastball to the inner half, handcuffed him.
Yeah, with one out and Kendrick at second base and Ibar on first, got to pay attention to the base runners. Espinosa doing a nice job of keeping Kendrick close. But these guys will roll right here. You got to look them back.
High bouncer. Second for one. Espinosa will turn the 5-4-3 as Anthony Rendon rifled it to him. Bottom of the 8th, it's time. LaRoche, Harper, and then Desmond. Nats down by a couple. For the achiever in you. And by Ocean City, Maryland. Put your vacation days to good use in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at OCOcean.com. Going to the bottom of the 8th. And the Nats down 3-1 have a tough assignment against a sidewinding right-hander who took care of business here 2 nights ago, and that's Joe Smith, the former Met.
Nats could use a tater or two. Remember, our Washington, D.C. Lexus dealers are donating $250 to Children's National Medical Center for every home run a Nationals player hits this season. So, Jason Worth, Adam LaRoche, keep them coming. It's for a wonderful cause. Lexus, the pursuit of perfection.
Joe Smith was pretty good here the other night. He did give up a walk and a hit in the 8th inning, but he got Span on a grounder, Harper on a grounder, Rendon on a ground ball, walked Worth, and LaRoche got a base hit on him in between. So Adam will lead off here against a pitcher he's seen 3 times in his career with a base hit.
Well, 2 pitches, fastball, slider, sidearm guy, and you saw that lefties are hitting 294 off Smith. Interesting move by Sosa, bringing in his right-hander to face LaRoche and Harper.
Yeah. Likes the way his stuff plays against lefties. He's got that swing back fastball that he can throw under the hands of the left-handed batters. And LaRoche has had a good night. Adam beating the shift twice, 2 for 3.
But you go bigger sample size to last year, and lefties hit just 227 versus Smith.
There's that frisbee curveball.
And that's why Mike Sosa is the manager.
It has been for 15 years.
Good step out by LaRoche. Smith working fast.
Yeah, the at-bat was going fast, wasn't it?
Yep. So LaRoche sat out last night with a tight quad, took a ground ball off his leg. Garrett Jones ground ball. It got tight, and he said he felt it running. Well, if you missed it last at-bat for Bryce Harper, had 2 great at-bats. A line drive first time up, a bullet down the right field line second time up, and with 2 strikes, And a runner on first, down by 2, decided to bunt. And Chris Iannetta really didn't even have to catch that ball because he was out as soon as it was foul.
Very puzzling sequence of events. And Bryce will take one over below here. One for 3 tonight, batting average at .267. When the Nats came back from Miami, Bryce Harper was hitting .340. That was coming off a 4-for-8 series down there. That's outside, 2-1. Then a good take on that breaking ball coming in right under his batting gloves.
Seeing it big.
And a tapper to the right side. Albert Pujols losing it and then throwing it by the pitcher. And the Nats get a break.
Well, he started
Albert Pujols' second error of the year.
Actually started to jog out of the box and then had to turn it on to beat it out and just got there in time. And this is the example of why you run everything out. And right here, Bryce Harper hits a routine ground ball to Albert Pujols. And all of a sudden sees him bobble it, turns it on, and barely beats it. And I think they actually might have had him with a good throw.
Yep.
That's why you run things out. That's why you go hard 90 every single time, because you never know what's going to happen.
Ian Desmond 0 for 3. Tying run in the batter's box here in the 8th. Joe Smith misses away. Ian Desmond career against him. 0 for 2. And that tapper out in front of the plate. Catcher makes a good play. Iannetta almost got tied up with his battery mate. They were able to get out of each other's way for the second out.
So a little tapper in front of the plate, and you're thinking this one's got knock written all over it. Desmond out of the box hard. Busting it down the line, but a nice play by Chris Iannetta to get Desmond by step. Smelling the knock all the way, and throw just beats him. Good play by Iannetta. Throw that inside. And now Danny Espinosa has had a nice night. Couple of singles, a walk, a stolen base. Bunt single his first time up. Playing well.
Yes, he is. Danny Espinosa breaks his bat on a foul ball.
Get that homer model out. You, my friends, can win prize packages for Masson all week long. Just be sure to follow Masson on Twitter and use the hashtag MassonNationals in your tweets to be automatically entered to win.
Espinosa rips it, but it's right at Howie Kendrick. And the Nats will strand their 9th runner of the game. It's been tough to drive in anybody in this entire series.
Angels fans, follow every national game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Give live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store. Visit nationals.com today.
Top of the ninth inning, and Ross Detweiler, 11 pitches, 6 strikes. Still in the game, he'll face David Freese. And they have matched up before 5 times. Freese 0 for 3 against Ross with a pair of walks. Angels want to get this guy going with the bat. And then they're 2.5 weeks away from Josh Hamilton returning. .82. A little high on the changeup there. Don't want to throw too many of them in that spot, but he had the hitter's timing way off.
Well, when you throw so many fastballs, sometimes all you have to do is mix it up.
Freese 1 for 3 with a double. And then he'll throw that curve on occasion. And he's missed with a couple of hooks. And now it's 3-2. Ross Detweiler had a 0-2 and lost it. Second walk. Tomorrow night, first game of a 4-game set with the Padres. Buddy Black, Everth Cabrera. They've got some good young talent on that club. Chase Edley swinging away. Eric Stoltz will take on Jordan Zimmerman. Jordan's given up 2 earned runs or less in 3 of his first 4 starts. 6:30, Johnny and Phil Wood. That's extra on Masson 2 from the booth at 7. There's J.B. Shuck. Going to lay down a bunt. Lobaton took a glance at second, knew he had time, and throws on to LaRoche. Sacrifice good. 2-3.
I'll tell you what, you could talk about the talent the Angels have in Mike Trout and Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton. What I've been impressed with this 3-game series is how fundamentally sound they are on offense. Taking extra bases, moving runners, getting leadoff doubles to third, sacrifice bunting, doing all the little things besides having all the talent. Mike Scioscia's club plays the game the right way.
And he's also feeling well enough about Raul Ibanez to pinch hit him against a left-handed pitcher. I don't know if there's any kind of injury problem with John McDonald, veteran infielder who's been around for a long time, who's a right-handed presence on his bench. But he goes with Ibanez, who in this series is 1 for 5. With that homer, with the double the other night and 3 RBIs, the game-changing swing on Monday night. Had a chance to chat with him for a minute at his locker today. He said, well, I don't have any secrets for being in the big leagues at the age of 41. He said, I've just taken care of myself and tried to eat right, get my work in. And he had kind of an interesting take. He said, I was in my late 20s before I really became a full-time player in the big leagues. I was with Seattle from 96 to 2000 and did some good things there, but then he kind of prospered in Kansas City, back to Seattle, Phillies for all those years, Yankees, and one more time with Seattle last year, 3 times with the ball club that brought him to the major leagues back in '96. 41-year-old Raul Ibanez.
Said he feels as young as ever, and the 22, 23, and 24-year-olds that he plays with every day are keeping him young. Said he feels like he's one of them. I couldn't see my cell phone when I was 41. He's still hitting big league pitching.
Look at him go there. And LaRoche takes a hit away. Now, is that an out? No. The transfer rule kicks in, and the batter's going to be safe. Adam LaRoche trying to transfer it to go for a double play, and here comes Matt Williams. Here's that call again.
Well, Major League Baseball said they were going to meet and kind of ease up on this and go with common sense, but I think Matt Williams has got a legitimate gripe here, and we might see his temper for the first time as a Nationals manager. He's got to be frustrated with what's transpired in this series, on top of what just happened right there.
LaRoche over to listen. That's Toby Basner.
This isn't a good old-fashioned, or this isn't a review. This is a good old-fashioned argument.
Rookie umpire. Matt taking off his gloves. He wants them to have a look at this.
So the rule states that you have to show the umpire the ball and have control of it in your bare hand after a catch. And you see LaRoche with the transfer right there, never really had control in his bare hand. He was trying to go for the double play. And that's a rule that hasn't been enforced in baseball for however many years, if ever. And this year has been...
They're not going to take a look.
Enforced strictly.
I mean, if that's the spirit of the rule and the basis for the call, evidently that's really not a call you can appeal.
But it's a catch. It's been a catch for 130 years.
It sure has.
Except for this year.
That's an error on Adam LaRoche. His very first error of the year, the Nats 24th in their 22nd game. Detweiler throws one outside to Colin Cowgill. He's 0 for 3 tonight with a walk.
Well, Detweiler's a starting pitcher of the two-seam fastball. He throw down the way to righties and used to get the ground ball double play all the time. That was his pitch. And we used to say when he's on, righties are squibbing balls down the first baseline foul. They're pulling off. And he and his ball club could use one of those pitches right here. Tried.
Fastball upstairs, unreachable at 92. Counts even 2-2.
Well, Cowgill trying to go deep right here. Had a count 2-1. Turns the fan on just a little too high to catch up. Look at that swing. That looked a little bit like his former teammate Mike Napoli. Just letting it rip.
Cowgill 0 for 3 career against Ross Detweiler.
Should say former Angel.
And a 2-2.
Pumped up right there, 95.
My hope another strike.
My only argument with the catch and transfer rule, Carp, and we've seen it, and I joke about it sometimes, but it's half serious to where if you make the third out and you're running off the field and you're right in front of your dugout and you want to flip a ball into the stands, and you transfer it into your hand, is that a catch?
I would hope by then it would be.
Well, no, it's not a time thing. It's not a step thing. It's the transfer. So how many times have you seen an outfielder run all the way in, flip the ball in the stands? What if when he goes to flip the ball in the stands, he drops it? Is that a catch? Because technically he's never transferred it into his bare hand. He hasn't shown the umpire control of the baseball in his bare hand. So that's where you get back to the whole common sense of this, of this rule.
I just hate that we're piling things on top of each other here. Suddenly this game is becoming very complicated. 2-2. And if that didn't hit the hitter, it came close. And then looks like out at third. Hold on to the ball, Anthony. So a wild pitch sends a runner to second, but Lobatone guns out David Freese at third.
Well, Lobatone pounced on this ball. Not a bad read by Freese. Kind of a little hesitation. And the rule at second on the ball in the dirt is you got to make a kick away from the catcher. It did, so you can't fault Freese for the hustle. You just got to tip your cap to Jose Lobatone for making a nice play and a nice throw.
Second out of the inning. And maybe in a two-run game, you don't have to face Mike Trout again. But the count's 3-2. And Ross has not been able to throw that curveball for strikes. And he misses to bring Trout in. Second walk of the inning and Ross's third walk in an inning and 2/3. Here comes Matt Williams. So Detweiler not able to get through 2 innings. 3 walks prolonging his evening. Further into the bullpen, Drew Storen on the way. Mike Trout a couple of nights ago before the Nats and the Padres play tomorrow. Tune into the Mid-Atlantic Sports Report 5 to 6:30. Rob Long, Mel Anton, and Peter Schmuck will have a preview of the Padres and include with that a look at their rebuilding process over the last several years. So Drew Storen, 1 batter worth of exposure in this series, and with a man on base Monday night, he flew Mike Trout out to center field.
Yeah, righties hit no 71, lefties 111 against the 2-seam fastball, 4-seam fastball, mid-90s slider, and one of the better changeups we've seen this year from anybody. A pitch that Storen has developed and is gaining lots of confidence with every single time out.
Trout tonight on base twice. In the series, 4 for 13. And Storen, like he did the other night, starts him off with that slider that had a lot of snap to it.
Well, he's kind of got into a pattern with right-handers to where it goes slider away, two-seam fastball in, slider away, just kind of back and forth with those two pitches, and then use that changeup, mostly the lefties, for the out pitch. See if he goes with a two-seamer in to keep him off the slider away.
Change up.
The movement on that changeup has just been unbelievable.
Then he goes with another slider, belt high. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, you can see the game plan for Mike Trout right now. He's hunting a fastball. He's got a slider, a changeup, and a slider. Can't pull the trigger. That'll tell you he's looking for some heat.
Couple of looks at the runner. Threw him another slider, low and away, and Trout able to lay off.
Pretty good take, pretty good pitch.
And Trout waiting forever before fouling that one off.
Still hasn't seen a fastball. Three-two slider would be the pitch if you go fastball off the plate in here. Or you could try to bounce the slider and get him to chase. I think you need to set up the slider with another pitch before you have a chance to get a guy like Trout on it. Keep throwing it down the way. He's going to reach out there and hit it to right. The reason you throw that fastball in is to make him think about the inner half of the plate before you go back out.
Then you threw him the fat. Yeah, that was 87 again. Still waiting for a heater.
And I don't even talk about throwing it for a strike. Just throw that two-seamer on the inner half, let it run in for a ball. If he commits, yeah, great. If he doesn't, go back to the slider 3-2.
And Trout will reach out and rifle it in the left. Harper. Strong throw, and the Angels now lead 4-1. Mike Trout drives in his first run of this series on his 5th base hit.
Well, he went inside, but it was with the changeup and allowed Mike Trout to get to it. Watch the changeup from Storm. Tries to punch him out with it. And Mike Trout just went down, beat a pretty good pitch. I mean, look where this pitch is, down and in, and that's why he hits 300 every year. Not a bad pitch from Storm, just a better swing from Mike Trout, and the throw from Harper kind of runs up the line. Nice stop by Lobaton. 4-1.
Here's Albert Pujols. He is 0 for 1 career with 2 walks against Drew Storen. .95 missing up and away. Pujols has had a good night after a great night. Single, double, RBI. So in this series, he's 4 for 13. He's driven in 6 runs. So it's 2-1. Fastball 93.
Pujols had a good rip at it, up and away. Fouled it straight back. And this is where we talked about this with Albert and what he does in situations like this. He knows he was on that. He also knows he fouled it straight back, which told everybody else he's on it. And usually he'll look for something else after he just misses one like that.
You can see with that stance, he gets big time plate coverage. He really jams the plate for a big power hitter. And leans back from a backup breaking ball, 3-1.
You know, Carp, I've heard that him described that way, and I've disagreed my whole life, or his whole career. He's not a power hitter. He's a good hitter that happens to hit the ball out of the ballpark. There's a difference. Usually power hitters hit 250, 240. They sacrifice, average for hitting the ball out of the yard. This guy's a 300 hitter.
Yeah, well,
way over. Yeah. So he's just a good hitter with pop that hits the ball out of the yard.
Then he'll take the walk when it's presented. And this is a long inning. Third walk of the inning by Nationals pitching. Detweiler already charged with one unearned run because of the so-called error on LaRoche. And Howie Kendrick will be the hitter.
Kendrick, a first pitch fastball guy. See if they throw him one.
0 for 2, 2 walks tonight. Fastball he was ripping. They've had 3 walks, 1 hit, an error, a sacrifice in the inning. Any runs in this frame will be unearned. Familiar story. Nets have now given up 19 unearned runs this year. And Kendrick laying off the slider, 2-1.
As a hitter, you love hitting right here. You know you're in the driver's seat, nowhere to put you. You're anticipating strike all the way, real aggressive in this count. That's why it's fun to hit with the bases loaded.
And the Angels 1 pitch away from sitting down one of their relievers in the left field bullpen. Safe situation right now. Howie Kendrick trying to change that. And True Storm gets the call. Got the fastball to run back. And it counts 3-2 with 2 outs.
One of my favorite plays in baseball. Everybody going on the pitch. Bases loaded, 3-2, 2 outs. Action everywhere.
And Kendrick went reaching for a pitch outside. So the Angels will pick up an unearned run and have a 3-run lead. 8-9-1 coming up for the Nats.
1 of the 7th, 1 of the 9th. As we head to the bottom of the 9th, the Nationals 3 down at 4-1. Johnny Holiday along with Ray Knight. We hope you'll join us when this game is over. We'll talk about it, try to make a little sense out of it. But another opportunity for the ball club, Ray, to take advantage of scoring chances, and they just couldn't do that tonight so far.
Yeah, maybe they'll break out of it right here, Johnny, because they're over 6 tonight. We talked about how bad we've been over this homestand with runs in scoring position. It certainly isn't looking really good, but you have to believe that it's going to happen and we're going to break out. Jared Weaver featuring a little different stuff tonight. He threw a pitch 69 miles an hour, and his best fastball was 86, but we still wasn't able to get to him.
Oh, that's why you play 9 innings, Fox.
Yes, sir.
You don't give it up after 8.5. No, sir. Let's go back up to Bob and FP and see if they can pull this thing out at the bottom of the 9th.
All right, Johnny, thank you, Ray. Ernesto Frieri is the Anaheim closer. Saved the ball game here on Monday night, his 2nd save of the year. So he hasn't had a whole lot of opportunities because of the kind of games the Angels have been in, but he's got a chance to have for him a very profitable series, trying to save 2 of their 3 wins unless the Nats can come back. Jose Lobaton leads off. Zach Walters is on deck, and the bottom of the 9th underway. Lobaton struck out against him, and he did not face Zach Walters. On Monday night, he did strike out Denard Span, so a couple of the hitters due up here have seen him. And Jose swings through that. 0-2. Lobaton tonight, 0 for 3.
A little two-seam fastball. Will average 92. Throw a slider and a change, you go with it. Usually fastball slider to righties, fastball change to lefties.
Lobaton jacks one to right. It's hooking, and it is into the bullpen. Jose Lobaton, first home run as a Washington National.
That'll wake you up.
Interesting. Frieri greeted by a Desmond home run the other night. First hitter he faced, and that's Jose Lobaton's 10th career home run.
Well, if you think about with the way the wind has been tonight, the way this ballpark is, that's probably about the only place you can get it out of here that low. He kept it below the stands, below the wind, so kind of like a knockdown 2-iron right here by Lobaton. Catches it out front. That stadium acts as a barrier right there, and all of a sudden a 3-run deficit is a 2-run job. Now you just need a base runner.
Zach Walters takes ball 1.
Hold on.
That's Lobaton's first home run since he hit a walk-off for the Rays in Game 3 against the Red Sox in the Division Series last year. Walters has pinched it a couple of times, and he's 0 for 2. That's inside, ball 2. Sudden life here at the ballpark. Got the call on the inside corner.
Taking a strike all the way. Now it's game on.
Ernesto Frieri, 60 saves over the last 2 full seasons for the Angels. A little herky-jerky delivery, and then the ball kind of explodes on you. And Walters will take another strike. 93 down and in.
Had to be the bottom of the zone. Walters looking for something belt high could drive.
Looked like he held the pitch inside. And that coveted base runner, 1 pitch away here with nobody out in the 9th.
Yeah, good take right there by Walters. He wanted to. Very aggressive hitter. And this becomes a huge pitch for the Nationals.
You're just writing it out of play. Walters can't get it. 94 away, 1 out.
Yeah, 2 seamed him away. I don't know if that was a strike. Let's check it out on pitch track, but it did have tons of movement. So right there, looks like it's right down the middle to Walters. He goes to swing, and it's way too close to take. See what pitch track has to say.
Yeah.
You can't take that with 2 strikes.
9th inning, gotta be swinging. Top of the order, Denard Span. Frieri grounded, actually struck him out in the 9th inning on Monday.
Freeze about 2 steps on the grass at third base. He's taking the bunt away from Span. Trying to get the tie and run to the plate.
'87 on the changeup. Counts even, 1-1.
Well, you know, Denard Span's feeling good when he starts going up the middle the other way, and he's been in pull mode for the last 3 or 4 games. This 2-seam fastball that he should see right here might help him go the other way.
Gives him a breaking ball on the inside edge. The other night he gave up the home run to Desmond, but all of his outs were strikeouts.
Slider in. See the first 2 pitches away. Span looking away, and he gets the slider to the other side of the plate he was thinking about. Might have been looking fastball as well.
One ball and 2 strikes. And Span up the middle. Scoots by the bag and under the glove of Ibar. And the Nats will get the tying run in the batter's box here in the 9th inning with Anthony Rendon coming up.
Game on. So he got the 2-seamer he was looking for. He did exactly what we were talking about. Right back up the middle. Good effort by Ibar. Salas kind of finishing to the side, or he would have caught that. So good at bat from Span. Good sign for tomorrow for the Nationals for Span going up the middle. And now Anthony Rendon has a chance to tie this one up. 3 home runs on the year, 14 RBI. It'd have to be a low liner, just like Lobaton's.
First time these 2 have matched up. Anthony 1 for 4 with a bunt base hit. First pitch, 80 right in there.
Back up slider.
And another one. This a little more snap to it and ends up at the knees. No balls, 2 strikes.
Rendon will do what he does with 2 strikes now. Spread out, no stride, try to put it in play.
Target well out there.
And why is spread out with 2 strikes? And not a lot of guys do it. Is it just kind of gives you a chance, right? It keeps your head still. You make better decisions. There's not a lot of movement in your swing. You're just trying to drop the barrel on the baseball, not do too much.
Fastball away and look out right past the end of the dugout and into the photo booth down there.
But that's what I'm talking about. Spread out, 2 strikes. You got a borderline pitch right here. And watch him just pepper. Just trying to put it in play. Too close to take, spoils it, gets another chance. I love the approach with 2 strikes that Anthony Rendon features. I feel like more players should do it.
That one came chasing him inside, and the count's 2-2. Way out there, ball 3.
Boy, I'm betting fastball right here. If he throws anything else, he's got me.
Frieri up to 20 pitches in this inning, and he has 1 out. They're warming up Fernando Salas.
But when you think about it, the only 2 strikes in this sequence have been the sliders to start it out.
And he walks Rendon.
0-2 walk. Nicely done.
Tying runs at first base. Winning run, walking to the batter's box, Jason Worth.
Rally hats on. See you working. Little natted dudes over there on the first base line. Nats dying hard again. Looking for that big knock that they've been searching for this whole homestand.
The Nats in this series, 2 hits total. Really on the homestand, 2 hits total with runners in scoring position, and one of them tonight by Gio to bring in the first run. Jason Worth 0 for 3 career against Frieri. And 0 for 4 tonight with a strikeout, 3 fly balls. He is all over the yard, 2-0.
2-0 if he throws one right down the middle. But like I said, it's got to be a low knockdown 3-iron to get out of here tonight.
Well, many of Worth's home runs are like that. Line drives to left center, bullpen style. And a 2-0 pitch. I mean, we are not even seeing anything close here. And Mike Scioscia may be 1 pitch away from jerking his closer and bringing in a guy he's had ready for a while. Adam LaRoche waiting.
Do you go 3-0 green light right here when he hasn't been close with the first 3?
Boy, I don't know.
Come on.
You would hate to hit into a double play.
I say yeah.
Worth does, and it's down the line. 1 run scores. Heading for third, Rendon. He will score. The Nats have tied the game on a Jason Worth 3-0 pitch double.
I say yeah.
I agree. I totally agree.
Rally hats working. Natted dudes on the first baseline. Jason Worth, huge. I mean, how do you swing at a 3-0 pitch when the first 3 haven't even been near? Jason Worth that locked in. Looking for something right down the middle. Figuring Frieri just wants to throw a strike. He gets it. And he's been hitting the ball hard the whole series with nothing to show. The ball ricochets, and that's where the Nats catch a big break off the corner right there. Hits the cement. If it hits the padding and stays close, it hits the cement, kicks way out to left field. And that scores Anthony Rendon, who had a nice at-bat to set the stage for Jason Worth. How clutch is Jason Worth?
The answer would be real clutch. Nats with a chance to win it, and Adam LaRoche is straight ahead.
Jason Worth fathead for you. Let's check out the 3-0 hack from Jason Worth. Nice at-bat by Denard Span to get on base. Anthony Rendon, same way. Span singled, Rendon walked, and then when you look at what was happening there from Friera, he wasn't even close. Worth finally gets a pitch. The big break is it hits the cement down there. Bob Henley sending everybody. And Anthony Rendon scores all the way from first base to tie this thing up. And Jason Worth was going nuts at second base, fired up, back to his own dugout. Well, you know what? There's a saying that you play no doubles on the infield and get your third baseman right on the line. And a lot of people would argue that that can't happen late in the game, getting beat to your right as a third baseman.
Adam LaRoche into left center field. Worth coming around. The Nationals are going to pull off a ninth-inning miracle and salvage a game of this series. 5-4 Washington.
How bad did this ball club need that? They've been fighting all year long, and they finally converted with a walk-off W here tonight. Jason Worth clutch, Adam LaRoche clutch. And those are the big knocks they've been waiting for this whole homestand. And they came back-to-back with those two guys you're looking at. Fear the Beards. And this is what LaRoche has been doing so nice all year long, going the other way. That's his batting practice every day. It comes in handy right there. Not waiting around. Nice read by Jason Worth, by the way. And the throw up the line. And a walk-off curly W. How about that? Unbelievable.